So I'm sorry for taking half an hour from your schedule all the way now 6:30, but we also thought quietly that we should start at 7. So anyhow, so I'm very happy on behalf of TYC, on behalf of Tibetan Association in California, that we have a good number of audience here, people here interested. And so without further delay, I want to make sure this is a very formal, very kind of a very intimate discussion. So please take advantage of that. So I already talked with the speakers as well, that we're going to have it more intimate, more open discussion where there's kind of space for everybody to bring out their voice, their questions. That we have space enough for very adventurous intellectual kind of discussion. So without further delay, I would like to introduce one by one each of the speakers. I'm sorry if I'm not able to kind of make things as precise as it should be. As in the first, we have Mr. Ngodup Ngodup served for a long time in the Tibetan government on various capacities, on various levels. The most prominent ones being the director of Tibetan Institute of Performing Arts. He was also a member of the Tibetan Chidu as well. And then eventually he also worked for the Tibetan Central Tibetan Administration's Department of Education as General Secretary. And as we all know, the Department of Education has one of the most extensive network of programs in India to manage all the schools, the school curriculums. So Mr. Ngodup Tseringlah's experience and knowledge in that field is well acknowledged by everyone in the Tibetan community and the wider world. And in the second, we have Tenzin Tsundue, the most awaited activist that we've been looking forward to meet here in the Bay Area and also across America, and I'm sure in many places where he hasn't been able to go, and I hope he can go. And Tenzin Tsundue has been involved with Tibetan activism on various levels, and he was born in North India in a Tibetan refugee family, and then he studied in TCV school in Dharamsala and later did his college in Madras, where he was one of the key founding members of the Tibetan Students Association, Madras, I think short from Sam, which is a very active organization in South India. And also he did a lot of activist works in southern India, most prominently being the one he threw out when Premier, I think Wenjab or one, or was it, I'm sorry, I don't remember the name of that Chinese leader, but that was one of the protests he was leading. And then eventually he got into this Tibetan Friendship Society, and right now he's the General Secretary of Indo-Tibetan Friendship Society. And on the extreme left, from my side, we have Topden Tsering. Well, most of us know he's from our Bay Area, and He was also educated in India in TCU schools and in Delhi University. And then he also took charge of the Tibetan Bulletin as its editor for a while. And then he came to America. In Bay Area, he was the president of RTYC for, I think, for 2 consecutive terms. And he's a freelance writer, a very prolific writer, as we all know. We must have read Payul and many other websites. And I'm sorry, I also need to include Tenzin Tsundue's poems. Many of poems we still read, and I'm sure he will present a few of them today. So without taking too much time from the discussion, I would like to ask Topden Tsering to go first. We have the whole discussion will be 1 hour limit. Each speaker will speak 15 to 20 minutes within the with their own in a field of their own interest and understanding, and then we'll have a break after 1 hour. Maybe 10-15 minutes break, and during which we'll have Momo and others to be will serve Momos and others. Then after that we'll have this question answer session. So it's it's 2 to 2.5 hour discussion. Thank you so much. So I would like to pass this mic to Topden Tsering to start out. Thank you.
Obviously, tonight, this evening, the spotlight should be on Tenzin Tsundue because from the younger generation, he's not only a great poet, but he's a formidable activist, and he has been single-handedly responsible for putting Tibetan freedom struggle in the sight of Indian population very prominently. But I think it's kind of fitting that I take a stab at this presentation first because I basically wanted to lay out the stage for the circumstances of exile, which under which and to articulate which people of my generation, sort of the second generation of Tibetans, dabble in poetry, dabble in literature, and dabble in other disciplines of art, including music as well. The reason I think we are making these presentations in English is because English is the language that sort of articulates best the sensibility we bring to our different sort of passion, our different vocations, our different crafts. And also, English is the language which has given us the context with which to measure our sense of loss and longing, our sense of uprootedness, our sense of dislocation of identity. By context, I mean writers that we have read, music that we have listened to, freedom struggles that we have found inspiration in, Mahatma Gandhi, Nelson Mandela, and all these figureheads. And I don't take any claim for authority on being, the ultimate voice on exile or identity or literature or poetry. It's just because, this is one of my deep-rooted interests to see, to observe what is going on and how people are saying what they are saying. And also, in my presentation, I'm basically going to talk about poets, literature, writers, and activists in exile because it is definitely not my expertise to make a comment on what is coming out from Tibet, and this would take an entirely separate panel discussion if we were going to do that. I'm talking about people writing in Tibet, from Tibet, like, novels or whatever forms of literature, even poetry. And it would take an entirely different amount of energy and concentration of time. To begin with, let me just read out this quote from a writer I hugely respect and admire, Salman Rushdie. He is probably one of the best known Indian writers. He is the foremost pioneer